Super Bowl 55 prediction time. Kansas City Chiefs, who are looking to go back-to-back. It'll be the first time once since like the early 2000s somebody won back-to-back Lombardi trophies versus the 937-year-old Tom Brady in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when the first time ever an NFL team in their own stadium has played in Super Bowl. Funky, hilarious, crazy. Who would have thought Tom Brady 2 years ago, imagine 2 years ago, saying that you predicted in 2021 that Tom Brady was going to be in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first year, leading them to a Super Bowl. Crazy. These videos normally go like this. If you're a Chiefs fan and I predict the Buccaneers to win, you'll dislike the video. If the Chiefs win and you're a Bucs fan, you'll dislike the video. So like, I don't care. I'm going to say what I think is going to happen. I'm no expert. Funny, not the expert, little pun there. But like, disclaimer, I'm stupid. So like, what does it matter what I predict? It's like, if your favorite team I predict to actually lose this game, probably a good thing for you. That means you'll probably win. But before we get into things, let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Let me know your score prediction as well. I will give you a score prediction. I do want to say on my main channel's story, I did predict the conference championship game. I gave scores and everything. Obviously, it's almost impossible to get the scores right, but I was 2 for 2. I did predict the Bucs to beat the Packers, and all the comments on that story were like, this guy's a moron. Guess who's a moron now? You are, not me. Got that right, and I did predict the Chiefs to beat the Bills. So I'm pretty happy with those 2 picks. So hopefully they go 3 for 3 and get the Super Bowl right as well. So when it comes to prediction videos, stuff like this, like, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen, so I always try my best to rule things down to the most simplest factors possible. I know a lot of people like to discredit this bit of thinking, but I think those people are stupid. Like, they're absolutely idiotic, because, like, who can, like, it's so hard to predict what's going to happen on any given Sunday. So, when 2 teams have played in just a couple months ago, like, why? Like, how can you not use that in your logic of making a prediction? These 2 teams played, I think it was around week 10-ish, and the Bucs almost came back, but it was a 27-24 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Once again, in the same exact stadium that they're playing the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. So, like, when somebody's making a prediction, they're like, yeah, if you're stupid if you use past analysis from the past matchup in an upcoming matchup. Like, no, that's like, you're stupid. What's more liable to happen? Something completely different happens that you yourself predict correctly, or a similar outcome of what happened when these 2 teams already matched up a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Like, you're stupid. Like, I don't like that train of thinking people say out there. So of course, when you're making a prediction like this and you have no idea what's going to happen, obviously you want to put a little bit of weight of what happened just a few months ago and these 2 teams already played. Now, a big thing that I think a lot of you are kind of overlooking in this prediction, which may or may not be weighed heavily in my final prediction, score prediction. Maybe not, you'll have to wait to see. But Eric Fisher, their starting left tackle, who had a Pro Bowl caliber season this year and last year, he's out, tore his Achilles. So basically, this offensive line, if I got this correct, I'm pretty sure what the projected starting offensive line was going into the season, they're now without 4 of those guys. So obviously that's going to be, I mean, a pretty big factor going into the Super Bowl, especially when you consider who the Bucs have rushing the QB. Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh up there, some linebackers that can fly around and get into the backfield. So that's a pretty big injury right there. So I think you definitely have to keep into account that. Like, obviously, like, he's still Patrick Mahomes in an offense with all those playmakers, but you can't lie and like just disregard that fact. Like, that is gonna take into account. Like you saw in like the NFC Championship game, the Bucs front 7 got to Aaron Rodgers a lot. I know they missed their left tackle David Bakhtiari in that game. Like, he got injured, he was out as well, and that did end up making a huge impact. So, like, who's going to say the same isn't going to happen in the Super Bowl? So that's the first point I want to put across there, is that I think the Bucs are going to struggle in pass protection the most they have the entire year. Now, something else I weigh heavily when it comes to playoff predictions and even Super Bowl predictions is what I think the Super Bowl is what team gets hot at the right times. You can say the same for every single professional sport out there. And let's just think about what's been going on the past few months. Since these 2 teams have played, as we mentioned already, the Chiefs won 27-24. I personally believe, and a lot of you probably will think the same as well, the Buccaneers have played their best football since that game. They haven't lost, and the Chiefs have played their worst football since that game. They've only lost 1 game, and that was with their backups, like against the Chargers last week of the season. But still, they've played some very, very, very freaking close games since they beat the Buccaneers. They squeaked out a win against the Dolphins. They squeaked out a win against the Falcons. I believe they if I get this right. I think they barely beat the Saints as well, and they kind of struggled a little bit against the Browns, and then they played their best game since that Buccaneers game in the conference championship game against the Bills in a pretty big blowout win. The Bucs, like I said, they haven't lost since they lost to the Chiefs, and they beat some pretty good teams, you know, like the Saints, and they beat the Packers. So 2 pretty good teams away from home that they did beat. 3 straight road wins in the playoffs, and now this is technically a home game. So they played as well as they've been playing away from home in the playoffs. 3 straight wins, and now they get to play a home game, a home stadium. So I think like a lot of people just completely counting out the Buccaneers, and I think I've said at pretty much every point I brought up so far is basically praised, like kind of in the favor of the Buccaneers. But I say all that to start the video because I think some people are just counting out the Buccaneers just from very, very like vague and just like in-depth analysis. Like people just like to say, oh, they have Patrick Mahomes, they have Tyreek Hill, they have Travis Kelce. Let's not look at every other factor possible and just go ahead and say they're going to win by 105 points. It very well could happen, but I think that's just very lazy analysis. There's so much stuff that goes into this. But that's true though. It's very, very true. They have Tyreek Hill, who absolutely like that's the craziest game that I think any receiver had all year. 3 touchdowns, like 250 something yards, I think, against the Buccaneers when they last played. Tyreek Hill had a crazy game, and they did lock down Travis Kelce. I say lock down. I don't think he scored that game, which is pretty impressive for a defense to keep Travis Kelce from scoring. But it is the case, but I think Travis Kelce bounces back this game and has a pretty big game. And you can't even say, like, I know Patrick Mahomes is still young, but you can't say, like, it's just Tom Brady's experience over him either, because this is Patrick Mahomes' 2nd consecutive Super Bowl. He won last year. The year before that, I believe, he was in the AFC Conference Championship game. This guy, although he's only played for, what, 3 years now? Is it 4 years now? He's been a starting quarterback. He has more experience in games like this than 95% of the other quarterbacks in the league that are over 35 years old. So, like, it's nothing to do with experience. I mean, obviously, Tom Brady, a little more experience doesn't roll than Patrick Mahomes, but this is obviously is not a situation where you say, this guy, he's great. He's an MVP caliber player, arguably the best quarterback in the league, but lights might be a little bit too bright for him. No, not at all. Like, Patrick Mahomes, not at all. Like, he's going to play just as well as he has. But at the same time, both teams, they have playmakers. Both teams have playmakers. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Gronk, Chris Godwin, even freaking Cameron Brate's been balling out for the Bucs, and obviously, like Tom Brady, Chiefs side, like you already know. You have playmakers everywhere. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, even Sammy Watkins might be coming back for this game. Le'Veon Bell should be back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So both teams at every position on the field, they're going to have freaking weapons everywhere that can score in a freaking instant. Now, obviously, the O-line, the Bucs O-line has been fantastic. Buccaneers offensive line has been arguably the best O-line in the entire league, especially in terms of pass protection. So it definitely is going to be interesting. I think no one going into the game that the Buccaneers offensive line 1,000,000% has the advantage over the Chiefs offensive line. And I think the key in this game is going to come down to 2 things here. Number 1, actually 3 things. Number 1, Tom Brady's got to stop throwing interceptions. The Buccaneers, for them to win, are going to have their best game of the entire season. Cannot get away with throwing 3 picks like he did against the Packers. So for them to have a chance to win, cannot do that. Cannot freaking do that, because they got, I mean, he got pretty lucky that the Buccaneers defense, you know, stepped up, and really none of the turnovers that Tom Brady had, any of the picks, really ended up in points. Maybe they did, but it could have been a lot worse. For the Chiefs, how is that offensive line going to hold up? A makeshift offensive line against some of the best pass rushers in the entire league. I do think the Buccaneers, they're going to be trying to pressure Patrick Mahomes all game long. Like, the receivers are going to get open regardless, so I think they're going to try to take advantage of that offensive line, and it's really going to come down to this game, how well that offensive line can hold up, because regardless, Patrick Mahomes is going to make plays, but how many times can they keep the Chiefs from getting into the end zone? How many times in the red zone they actually keep them from scoring touchdowns and having to settle for field goals? That's going to be a big, big part in this game, I think, as well. And also, I think one thing people are overlooking is the safeties for the Buccaneers. Both their safeties, Winfield and Whitehead, are injured. Antoine Winfield was out for the game against the Packers, and then Jordan Whitehead, safety that caused 2 fumbles, and one of them was recovered. Big momentum shift in that game against the Packers. He was ruled out with a shoulder injury in the middle of that game, and his availability is questionable. I think Winfield will be back, which is big. He's had a great rookie season, but there's really no word on Whitehead yet. Don't know if he'll be back or not. For them to win, I think they both have to be healthy, which is, I mean, pretty important for them. They get 2 off weeks here. So if it's not that serious of an injury and the shoulder's okay, I think he has enough time for it to recover and be 100% for the game. So a lot of stuff we just analyzed there, and I just want to make it just clear that this is just not going to be a blowout. Like, whoever wins, it's not going to be a blowout. And I think right now in my brain, I have a heart prediction and I have a brain prediction. What my football knowledge thinks there's gonna happen, and I think in my heart it's gonna happen. And like, this is tough because I feel like if you pick against the Chiefs, people will call you stupid because it's Mahomes. But it's just, it makes too much sense. It makes too much sense for Tom Brady to lose in this given circumstance. New team, counted out by so many, and he's in the Super Bowl in his home field. They're hot. They've won however like six, 7 straight games against teams. Against the Saints, everybody thought they were going to lose. Against Packers, everybody thought was going to lose. And they won. They won away from home. Now they're home. Chiefs, they've shown more vulnerability, I'll say. I mean, obviously they blew Bills out to maybe the team's starting to, click on all cylinders again. My heart, or my head says Chiefs win, but like this is one of those instances, like just everything I just talked about for 10 minutes, throw it out the window, because the Super Bowl, anything can happen. I'm going heart over brain here. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I'm going 35-31. Buccaneers beat the Chiefs. It's at least 1,000 dislikes in this video. Maybe even 2,000. Maybe 1,100. I don't know. A lot of them.